Welcome to the official Bathtub Refinishing Podcast, powered by BathTubGuys Refinishing. This is where we discuss the refinishing industry, interview owners and operators, and give tips to customers and entrepreneurs. Now, here's your host, Daniel Montalvo.
All right. Finally.
All right.
I kind of messed things up getting into here. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Alex is back.
I'm back. I'm tired.
Yeah, he's been working on a clawfoot tub in the back. So
we're
going to talk about that. But first, Alex is back. I just thought I should touch on that. But actually, that's the first topic I have here is working on the clawfoot tub. So, I wanted to, have you kind of break down what you've done this far. And, because I know you said that there were some things with the body that were really bad and stuff like that. So, if you could kind of share, the things that you've encountered with it and what you've done so far.
All right. I guess I can do that. Well, we found out the tub was from 1910. We weren't able to decipher which manufacturer it actually came from, but it's from 1910. The main thing with these old tubs is a lot of them, they have a lot of oxidation and a lot of rust. The metal is just corroded. Good thing about cast iron is it's super thick. So usually you can sandblast that first layer of, rust, patina, whatever you want to call it. Get rid of it, get down to the bare metal. And that's exactly what we did. We got it sandblasted as well as the legs. You sandblast the outside, and then on the inside, you just do a standard acid etch like we would do with any other porcelain surface. And then we went ahead and filled in all the body work.
Yeah. And so
we sandblast the outside, and then it basically undergoes the same process as any other surface that you're going to refinish.
Yeah,
minus the acid etch. It's really unnecessary once you're down to the bare metal, as long as it's decontaminated. There's no residual oils or, from your hands or anything like that. No dust and dirt particles, always, just cleaned off very well. You can go ahead and just spray primer on it. Usually you want to do it immediately when you get it from the sandblaster, because that exposed metal, if there's any humidity or moisture in the air, it will oxidize it, and that rust will come right back onto the surface in a matter of a few hours. So after we got it sandblasted, brought it back, and I immediately just coated everything in a primer. Actually, I coated it in a rust inhibitor first, just to make sure that none of that rust is going to resurface. And then I went ahead and applied a primer the following day. After the primer, I sanded it all down with a 220 grit, made sure, blew it out with a compressor, made sure there was no residual dust in there. I tacked everything smooth. And then on the outside, I went ahead and I painted it this maroon royal blue color. Looks really nice on the outside. And then we went ahead and flipped it, and then I've been working on the inside since. So I went ahead and did an acid etch, and then started doing the body work, just our standard fiberglass body fill. And I also use a glazing and spot putty to really get those fine details, make sure that the body's as smooth as possible, because those tubs, they're over 100 years old, and they have seen a lot of wear and tear. So
yeah, and we're gonna have on the Instagram page and everything, I'm gonna have the video of it.
Yeah, we've been taking videos and pictures throughout the process, so you guys will definitely see step by step.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool, but especially around the edge, you can see on this one that it had really, really, really bad cracks in the porcelain, rust, everything like that. So it's gonna be more interesting to see one like this where it wasn't in any type of good condition, really. Yeah,
and the outside, it does have some cratering and stuff like that. Some people prefer to keep that kind of vintage look, the antique look. Some people won't go ahead and fill every little nook and cranny. I didn't do that just because I want to keep it that classic kind of style. Make sure that you realize that this is not just a fiberglass or basically an acrylic plastic tub from Calder or something like that you can buy right now for $1,500. It's history, it's restored, it's something that's brought back to life.
Yeah.
So depending on what you want to do with the outside, you you can really make that shine and represent that. So
Yeah, and it kind of drives home the fact that like it's an antique. This thing is actual cast iron, and it's from the 1800s, so there's imperfections.
yeah.
So when you see those imperfections, some people want to get rid of them, and I think it kind of takes away from like the charm of the tub.
Yeah,
the
it's
fact
not
that,
even just the charm. Like cast iron, for instance. Like a lot of people compare steel and fiberglass tubs. Like obviously, fiberglass is a cheaper alternative. Steel, it's foundationally, structurally stronger. But steel has its disadvantages too. It's almost like it's cold to the touch. Nobody wants to go in. It's like sitting on a cold toilet. It kind of sucks. Fiberglass has a warmer touch. Yeah. Porcelain and cast iron is similar to steel, but it retains heat a lot better. So the thing is, nobody goes into a tub that's empty and fills it up. You fill up the tub when you're using a soaking tub. You fill up the tub with water and then you go in. The thing about cast iron is, one, it obviously, like I said, it retains the heat a lot better. So once you fill that tub up and you go in there, it's going to stay warmer a lot longer. And a lot of people don't know, the cast iron, since it's one solid piece of iron, literally in a mold, and it's super thick, the way that they manufacture them, they come out super quiet. So water hitting the surface isn't nearly as loud as a fucking steel tub or, fiberglass, whatever.
they suppress the sound because they're so thick.
Yeah, it literally suppresses the sound.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to like just because of like the charm from the tub, but still,
Yeah,
like,
but that
it's like,
also, it's all about, it's like a whole package too. A lot of people think it's just about the character though, but there's more to it. Cast iron has different advantages as well.
Yeah, and I think personally, like when I see the tub and I see something that old, I mean, the point I think of buying something antique is to, have that like that classic look or feel or something like that, and like, the way it looked back then when they didn't have the technology to smooth this stuff out and make it look like perfect every single time. I mean, that's those little imperfections are what give it, the charm, character. Yeah, so yeah, it's really cool. It's really coming along. Today you did the primer on the inside and the porcelain, and then you did primer on the legs. With the
so I'm really taking my time with this. This is a tub. We're not planning on selling it or anything. We're going to use it probably for a showroom here in the office.
Yeah.
But I just want to take my time with it, give it a really nice thick glaze. I'm going to be polishing and, wet sanding, dry sanding in between coats, just making sure it's completely smooth. I want that finish to come out like glass, So after the primer is completely set, which it should be already set, but once it's, completely dry to the point that I can sand it, I'm going to go ahead and find any little nicks that I see, fill them in, make sure it's completely smooth. I don't want any little imperfections on the surface, so that way that final finish just comes out beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's going to turn out really, really good. And the reason, if someone were to make us an offer, we probably would sell it. But this one, especially since it had so many, it's not that it was terrible or irreparable, but
it was one of those that
normally we probably wouldn't even do.
Yeah, it was in a lot rougher condition than what we normally see. We have another one there that's in a lot better condition. And it's been painted before on the outside, and you could just tell that the paint has kind of preserved it over the years. There's so many layers and layers of paint. It's like the bare metal hasn't been exposed in probably ever.
Yeah.
So that one, that's the outside. It can come out more like a glass finish rather than you're looking for more of these satin finishes, these flat finishes to hide those imperfections on a different style tub that has a rougher outside. With the inside, as long as the porcelain's in good shape, you can always make it look amazing. But it goes back to whether you want the character, you want something to look spotless.
Yeah, and just again, like the way the color choices, you came with the color you wanted inside white, outside like a kind of like a not dark, but like a nice blue color.
Yeah.
And then
it's like a bit of a dark royal blue.
Yeah, like a royal blue, and then silver for the legs.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna look really nice once.
Yeah, just a nice simple colorway, but that blue just makes it really pop, especially with the contrast with that bright white. And then, originally I was gonna do like gold legs, gold fixtures, just because I like how it pops. But I figured, the silver paint that we have on hand, would look nice, and it's kind of easier to find a color match to silver than a specific shade of gold. So, So, I like how it's going to come out. Well, so far I like how it's coming out. So hopefully by the end product, it's just, beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's coming along, and like it's cool now that we have a fucking facility for this shit. We can do these things, because before, I mean, we just couldn't.
Yeah, I've been really getting into just finding old clawfoot tubs and just restoring them on the side.
Yeah.
But it's kind of becoming like a hobby. But it's one of those things that you really feel like you're bringing something back to life, and there's a sense of like pride and gratification with that, because it's like something that people use as horse troughs, or like they used to feed their animals. Some people, they're just sitting in junkyard for years and years and years, and so many people overlook them. But if only you knew what it could become, right? And that's why I enjoy doing it. And plus I can take my time here in the shop and make sure everything is done right.
Yeah, and I don't like necessarily, like, sometimes when people call me and like they're like, oh, I need the tub refinished, and it's a clawfoot tub. Normally, like, I tell them, like, the right way to do this is a complete other way. And I always try to quote them for that, because the thing is, like, those cast iron tubs, if they're like rusting on the surface or something like that, it's very likely that the rust has penetrated through all that cast iron, and you really need to sandblast it, put anti-corrosive on there and all that stuff to really do it right.
Yeah, you want to.
There are some companies that just go in
bare metal.
Yeah,
I mean, anybody can make it look nice. It's all about creating that long-lasting, durable finish, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of why I market that side of the business, like the clawfoot tubs, antique sinks, stuff like that. I kind of brand it differently than the regular stuff. I brand it as antique restoration, because it's more in tune with that than simply bathtub refinishing. Like, to properly restore a clawfoot tub is not something that can be done in a couple hours, like the tub at your house.
Yeah, it's a much longer, more tedious process.
Yeah.
And you want somebody who's going to be meticulous and look over all those details.
Yeah, and then, we also want these things to last a super long time. So that's another thing.
Yep.
Well, I got someone calling me, but I'll give them a call back after. They could wait. So basically, some of the, like we were just talking about, since we're working on this clawfoot tub and stuff, we have some content coming for that, so people could look for that. We're gonna do a time lapse of it, and then kind of have individual videos and stuff like that, because we're taking so many pictures and videos that there's just gonna be a lot of stuff coming out with the clawfoot tub and the next one too. So yeah,
the next one I'm thinking about doing it in black.
See
how that one turns out, but that one, it's gonna be really nice. I think it's a smaller tub too, by maybe a few inches, but I'm not sure. But
yeah, so I just wanted to tell people what to look for. Also, if you guys follow us on Instagram, the BathTubGuys Instagram page, which is at BathTubGuys, we're doing a Q&A. If you guys want to put questions there, we'll answer them. I'm gonna take any questions, preferably business related, but I'll put a fun one in there if someone wants to put something like that in there. But, so basically, I also, I wanted to touch on the clawfoot tub thing, obviously, because that's what we've been doing most of the time in the back. Touch on the content, the Q&A and everything. But I really wanted to kind of do a segment where we talked about maybe the most common questions that we get from people. So I just did it for this week, just, for timing, and also just so that we can do more later. Answer maybe 3 or 4 of the most common questions. So we can both answer. I'll push it to you first. And if you want to jump in or something like that, we could do that. So the first question is, what is bathtub refinishing? So in the simplest way, I get calls all the time. People are like, so what exactly is bathtub refinishing or bathtub reglazing? And, kind of explain what it is to someone who has no fucking clue what this thing is.
Okay, so what you're doing is essentially you're prepping the surface of your bathtub to receive the material, right? So you're etching the surface, you're creating valleys, you're doling out the surface, and you're applying 3 to 4 coats of a very water resistant paint. You could say it's paint. It's more of a resin, a glue, if you will. It's a 2-part resin. Yeah. Doing this, it's almost like putting a glaze on the outside of your boat so it resists more water. It makes it easier to maintain, a more durable surface, long-lasting shine, long-lasting finish that just lasts for a lot more years. And it's not like a super long process. It's something that we can do in a matter of a few hours. You get in there, prep the surface, spray your coats, make sure it's completely clean, spray your coats, clean up properly, and within a matter of a few hours, the fumes completely dissipate, and overnight, you can already use it the following day in a matter of 24 hours. But essentially, you're putting a thick glaze around the entire surface of the tub to make it more water resistant, make it more durable, and just make it nicer overall.
Yeah. So that's a good answer. So typically, it's different like when you're on the sales call, because people just want to hear you got to kind of compress it down.
Yeah. I know.
So I guess I can give, since I do that part, I can kind of give that side of it. So what I always tell people, in case you run into someone who doesn't know what bathtub refinishing is, or they want to know more, basically, I always tell people it's a cost-saving alternative to replacement that restores the tub to as close to new as you can get without just outright replacing the thing. You don't want to set the expectation that it's going to look brand new out of the factory, because there could always be little things, and also sometimes the tub itself is not perfect.
Yeah, even from the factory, sometimes there's imperfections.
Yeah, we've seen tubs. Since we've done so many, I know you've probably encountered it where it has a run or like an indentation from the factory, from the pressed porcelain. So, yeah, that's kind of how I explain it in a nutshell, really quick. People kind of understand, I'm just restoring it and making it look better than it was before, and it's saving you a shit ton of money.
Bringing it back to life, basically.
Yeah. So, and then the more detailed response like Alex gave, with the process and stuff like that. Once they're interested, then you can start breaking down the process and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so that's one of the most common questions you get. What is bathtub refinishing? And that's the answer. So another question that I get a lot is, does bathtub refinishing last? And if so, how long, does this last when it's applied?
If it's applied properly, it can last anywhere from 5 to 10 years, depending on how well somebody maintains it. That it's kind of contingent on, what they're using to maintain it, and also the prep itself. If the techs, prep the surface properly, make sure that there's adhesion on every layer, and if everything is done properly and it's sealed correctly with the proper caulking and everything like that, 5 to 10 years at the very least. If it's maintained properly, it could last even longer than that. If you want to use abrasive chemicals or something like that, abrasive scrubby pads, something like that, the finish can dull out and it can peel within a year or two.
Yeah.
So there's always factors that come into play with something like this, and maintenance is usually the biggest thing.
Yeah. So kind of going with what he was saying, a lot of the fact of this, a lot of the factors of this lasting a long time is based on how you care for it. So, you wouldn't use bleach or Ajax or Comet to clean the outside of your car. So don't do it to clean the refinished bathtub. The materials, though they are not the same, are similar. And so, those things are too abrasive, like Ajax or soft scrub or something like that. They have micro abrasions that scratch the surface and dull them out.
It's almost like you're wet sanding or buffing it, and over time that will dull out the finish, and then eventually it'll thin it out to the point it's going to flake, it's going to peel, and that's just stuff you don't want. So.
Exactly. So, it lasts a long time, though. Like he said, 5 to 7 years at BathTubGuys. We warranty it for 7 years. or 5 to 10 years. We warranty for 7 years. It could outlast that.
Yeah, we've had customers call us from 10 plus years ago. It's still in great shape. It just needed a light sanding and a fresh coat, literally, because they maintained it properly.
Exactly. And you know, a couple things that are indicators if something like didn't adhere correctly, you know, because it's kind of like a gray area. Some people think, oh, this thing didn't last anything. Well, the material itself will last as long as it's done properly. But we have had, and we've seen people like everything's peeling, including the primer. Well, the primer is supposed to be stuck onto the surface. So if you see that it's peeling and the primer's actually stuck onto the surface, 9 out of 10 times it's something that you did as the person caring for this thing. Because if the top coat and the primer adhered and now it's unadhering, but the primer's still on there, then the preparation's all sound. It's usually something.
Or if the top finish is worn out to the point you see primer. Mm-hmm. Something like that, then you know you're using something that's far too abrasive and you're literally wearing down the finish.
Yeah, and most commonly that would be like a scrubby pad, a soft scrub, something like that. If you're a hotel and you're using Lemonese, don't do that. From Ecolab, that shit will fucking strip your bathtub, just like the Embassy Suites, but we're not talking about that. But, you know, so proper care and maintenance, 5 to 10 years. This stuff lasts a long time. It could last longer. I mean, if you really, really, really are careful with it. When our dad used to work up in Massachusetts, he had a customer call me like a year ago, and he had done that tub 15 years ago, like at that point. So, I mean, it'll last. It'll fucking last. Another question I get all the time is basically, can I only refinish the tub in white? I get that question all the time. It's probably the most common question.
Nope. We have a few off-white tones that come standard and no additional charge. That being said, you can literally get any color you want. Mm-hmm. We get our paint from our own paint distributor, our own manufacturer, and they can custom mix any color we want. So as long as we know ahead of time, we can get literally any color. You want pink, you want green, you want granite looking tub, we can do it all. So we get it from Midwest Chemical, and they're really, really good. We've used them for a long time. Yeah. And a lot of our finishing companies are actually supplied by them too.
Yeah. And so all they need is the color code for Sherwin-Williams, or I think they do PPG too.
Yeah.
But
usually the Sherwin-Williams code is easy to find. Yeah. They have a variety, almost every shade ever. So
yeah, and at Home Depot you can see them. If you there's a lot of Sherwin-Williams stores, so if you go to them, like, you'll find one. And most of the time, I tell people to get the one that is in the format of like, it's like SW and then the 4 digits. If you get like a HGSW or something like that, typically those are like the HGTV, like special color tones that they custom mix or something like that. And I know Midwest doesn't always match them. So depending on who you have, who your paint distributor is, you got to kind of find that out. But pretty much any color. I mean, last week, Gene did a job where he did the tub and the tile around the entire bathroom and the floor. And the whole bathroom was pink, except for the tub. She wanted it white. But the floor and everything was pink. And it was like baby pink. It was like that. It was like a fucking super, super light pink. And
jeez.
Yeah, I mean.
It's not even surprising.
But
honestly.
That is something that's a benefit of refinishing. That bathroom project was more like a restoration of an old bathroom, because you go into a Home Depot today, you are never going to find pink tile for a bathroom, especially that same type of, square tile. You're not going to find it. You're not going to find that. So one of the benefits to refinishing in general is that the color. I mean, it's a big benefit.
Yeah,
get
definitely.
Any color you want. And also,
a lot of people like the aesthetic of older looking tile, the older looking tubs, and they don't want to necessarily tear apart their whole bathroom to, change the color or to make it look nice again. And, that's something we offer. So
yeah. And another benefit too is that a lot of these products are interchangeable. So one of our most popular products is multi-stone, and multi-spec is another name for it. And basically it's like that, it's like kind of looks like what we have on the table here, except for this is like a factory finish. But it's like a base coat, specs, and the clear coat over it. And you can use that on anything too. I've seen hotels where they do the entire tubs in them. Now I don't like that, but some people have different tastes. And so, we offer that too. It looks really nice on tile though. I do.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I like how it contrasts like the walls and stuff, having the specs and then the tub being solid. It always looks nice for the shower. So, it just depends. But the important thing is that we have options. And unlike a lot of people in the area, like we have all this stuff on our website. So like too many people who do bathtub refinishing complain about not having, we used to, when we started, I remember our parents always saying like, oh, no one has ordered multi-stone in like months. Well, nobody ordered it because nobody was talking about it. It wasn't even on the website. So, and that goes to people out there who do this type of work. Put the stones on the website if you offer them. And if
offer all or show an example of all your colorways, or tell them you can match any color.
Exactly.
Or give them the options, right? Like give them the opportunity to see what else you offer, because you never know what business you could miss out because you just didn't have a color swatch on your website.
Yeah, and charge them more for it too. If somebody wants,
especially if it has to be custom made or anything like that.
Exactly. Custom mixes I always charge more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially if if they charge you more, charge them even more.
Exactly. And multi-stone is one of those things that can't be applied in one day sometimes because some of the patterns are heavier than others. Mm-hmm. And if you don't wait the 24 hours between it and let it dry, it could be a mess. So you got to account for that too. If you're going to shoot someone's tile and they have one of those old bathrooms where it's like the bathtub and the tile everywhere, you might want to charge an extra $200 or $300. I've done it. Yeah. Don't be afraid to charge.
The reason you can't, most of the time you can't really do it in a one-day process is because you're using an oil-based primer most of the time. Well, actually all the time.
Yeah.
Then you're using all of the specs, they come in a water-based solution. So you're spraying, oil, then you're spraying water on top of that, and they do not mix. So you need to make sure that either the primer is completely set, and then you're going to try to spray an oil-based clear coat on top of that, right? So you need to make sure your primer is completely set. You need to make sure that the day you spray the specs, you need to let that completely dry. Mm-hmm. Dry to the point that you can rub your hand across it, nothing's going to smudge, that it needs to be completely dry.
Yeah.
Even to the point where you can lightly, maybe even hand sand it, lightly tack it, just make sure it's completely smooth. So once you spray that clear, there aren't, variations in the leveling of the paint itself. It's completely stable. It's completely leveled out, and you get that glass finish on the top. If not, you can go ahead and try to spray everything the same day. You're just not going to get a nice, consistent finish at all. It doesn't matter how much coats of clear you throw on there. It's not going to come out consistent.
The only time you can kind of get away with that is if you get something like
it has to be a very light spec
cappuccino.
Yeah,
or
a very light. Like
bark.
it's almost like you're just spraying you're spraying, your standard primer coat, and then you're spraying, a very light mist over it, and then, you're aiding drying time, obviously, with your compressor and stuff like that to accelerate the process. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but most of the time, if especially if you're not experienced in this field, you want to just give yourself the time to do it right, because if not, you're going to minimize mistakes, and if not, you're going to have to come back and fix it anyway. So
yeah,
might as well do it right the first time.
So, well, yeah.
What else were we talking about?
Looking at something here. Oh, well.
Customer questions?
Yeah, we're going to do that. I figured I would... Let's see if we can get that on the...
Bobby.
Yeah, he put a little raise hat on him. But anyway, yeah, I figured I'd kind of throw one in there also that I get a lot. So a lot of people always ask me, about the grout lines in the tile, because I do put like a disclaimer about that in there. So people always ask questions about, the grout line in the tile, or like why, after giving it 3 coats, is it not covering certain parts of the grout line? So since you were on the field, kind of explain to people why that happens. Sometimes.
Most of the time it's because there's no grout there.
I know.
It's just a gap. So The thing about it is, no matter how much material you can spray on a spot, if there's no structure behind it, it's not gonna just fill it in. That being said, the best thing to do if you are having grout issues is to just get it grouted before you even get it refinished, so that way everything is sealed properly. But if you don't do that and you decide to get it refinished first, if you go with a company who applies it properly and gives you a good durable finish, there shouldn't be any reason you can't get it grouted afterward.
Yep.
That being said, when we spray tub enclosure, with 3 walls of tile, we always seal we always remove old caulking, and we always seal the main edges where the walls meet and where they meet the tub, just to make sure that directly around the tub is a complete, watertight seal. That's very important because water gets back there and it causes issues while you're spraying. You don't never want that, obviously. So you won't but typically after the primer, I like to go in there after I tack, and then I'll seal all the edges with the adhesive-based caulk. You don't want to use the siliconized caulk, anything like that, because it will repel the paint once you start spraying the top coat. You want to use an adhesive-based caulk. Make sure you seal all those main edges. At that time, if you want to, you can try to fill in those little gaps, those tiny little craters, those little holes that are in individual grout lines and tiles. You know what I mean? But it's not the best way to do it. It's more of a cosmetic fix.
It's not even the right way to do it.
Yeah, it's not the right way to do it at all. It's a cosmetic fix. It's exactly that. You're gonna fill it in, but at the end of the day, that caulking's gonna contract, and more than likely it might surface again, or you're covering up an issue more than fixing it, right?
Yeah, so I have a disclaimer that I send to people, and I'm gonna read it here just because I feel like people who do this type of work have this problem a lot. And I've actually talked to a couple people, and this is exactly what I write. I give people the quote, I break down the process, but I put this in there. It says, if doing tile, when we do tile, if there's missing grout or gaps in the existing grout, we will try to cover it with caulking, but we don't grout, and it's something that will have to be attended to before or after service. It looks like faint black cracks in between the tiles. Some white grout usually does the trick and is a painless DIY. Now, that's more for people who have small, 2 or 3 areas of grout. And I usually tell people that if it's really, really bad, like you're going to want to re-grout it before. If it's a couple cracks here and there, it's best, in my opinion, like if they get white grout, that's the exception, right? It has to be that they want the tiles white. Because once you spray the top coat, everything kind of amplifies a little bit. You can kind of see them better. And that way you can go with the white grout. And you've used it before at a customer's house. It's a little different than the caulking because it's like thicker and it really sticks on there really, really well. And it blends right in.
It's actual grout.
And it's actual grout. So
it's not just a little sealant to avoid water getting in there,
Yeah, I mean, you would be surprised by the amount of people who think that caulking is grout. You think it's the same thing. A lot of people. I argue with them on the phone. And it's not that I want to, but it's like they don't understand that they're separate things.
The thing I said about you being able to get it grouted after, like you mentioned, it's more if it's a minor thing. If it's something that it's structure or it's compromising the structural integrity of the tile, get it done before. Because if a painter goes in there to use his compressor to blow something out, and that air pressure alone can start knocking tiles off the walls. A lot of times water gets stuck back there and it will lead to rust behind your tub, or so you want to be careful, and it'll rot the backboard and stuff, so you want to be very careful.
And also that's exactly what he said. Sometimes if the tile is too bad, you might want to just walk away from it, because the problem is that some people, and you've encountered it, I know, because I've been on the other end of the phone with these people, where they have all the tile being held up by silicone or caulking. And as soon as you start taking the caulking off, the tile starts to come loose. And the problem with that is obviously the tiles. I mean, we are not tile installation people. So the best we could do is put it up there with Bondo or caulking, and it's not really our job.
And even then, it's you're literally opening a can of fucking worms, because the moment you start
messing with stuff,
or the moment that rotted backboard, the backing board, starts, crumbling and disintegrating, and those tiles start falling off, they're gonna break. It's like inevitable. At that point, they're gonna start breaking, and you're gonna try to, piece them together, and you're gonna try to patch them up, but you're just making a bigger problem. So the best thing to do is, if you do notice, like I like to just start tapping around all the tiles, and literally just, if I start seeing loose tiles, if you have to absolutely get the job done, and the customer can't afford tile restructuring or anything like that.
Explain it to them.
Yeah, explain it to them. Be completely transparent, because all that's going to do is make you and your company look better, because you're being honest from the gate. And, it's going to avoid them expecting a better job than what you can actually deliver, because, obviously the job itself is already compromised. So if worst case scenario and they really can't get it done, just be very cautious around those areas where there are loose tiles. The paint, once it dries, it will help seal it a little bit, but it's going to be a cosmetic thing. Those tiles aren't going to be structurally sound. And if you start tapping and you start seeing those loose tiles, you need to let them know that there's an issue going on back behind the tiles. And stuff,
and another thing is, if they already know about the tile issues and they're unwilling to address it, sometimes even though it hurts and you need the money, it's better to walk away, because those are people that will give you problems later on.
Yep.
It's happened plenty of times. And
if you are in the position to either do pricing yourself, or to let your dispatch team, let them know
the issue,
the issue that you've encountered, and let them adjust accordingly. If it's going to be a lot more labor intensive, add that to the invoice. Add that to the final price, because it's something that, like I said, it's a can of worms, and the more you get into it, the kind of deeper you're into it, and if you don't finish the job, you can end up damaging their bathroom a lot worse than when you got there,
Yeah, and that kind of goes into another thing, which is, this is kind of like an unplanned route that we're taking now. But
that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. But it kind of goes into what we talked about in the first episode that we did together, where we were talking about doing things that's that's not in your realm of expertise, and how it becomes your problem. Mm-hmm. So we had that example with that guy, Mr. Swerve into the driveway and stuff. This guy wanted Alex to move stuff out of the bathroom and stuff, but the moment you start touching stuff that's not your jurisdiction, that you're not legally allowed to touch, you break it, and guess what? Now it's your fault. And your reputation's on the line. So when you're at these places doing anything, always make sure that you're doing the right thing, the stuff that you're there to do.
Exactly.
And
it's not that was my logic, always going behind it as a technician, going to jobs myself. What the hell?
Yeah, I touched that by accident. Sorry.
But if it's not on the invoice, I always question it, right? So if I get there and a customer starts throwing stuff at me, I always question it, always ask why. And if I don't see it on the invoice, I call the office, whoever it is, let them know that everybody's on the same page before I'd even start, so make sure that the work order is signed, make sure I have my copy, and make sure they agree to the pricing, make sure that they see exactly what I'm going to do. So there's no questions later on. There's full disclosure, 100% transparency. They have no excuses later on.
Yeah, and your terms are really, really important when it comes to this sort of thing. It doesn't have to be a whole page of paper, but have something in there that's clear, concise, and gets to the point when they sign. We put payment due in full upon completion, and I think authorizing the work and for us to be on the property. Because like I said in the last podcast, sometimes people will see people who are black or something, and they'll fucking think they're trying to break in because they're working at the house. So you gotta make sure that the signature has I'm allowed to be at this house, and authorize the work on this property, payment in full upon completion, so they don't come later.
Yeah, I mean that another thing is too, you want to have your team usually, uniform, right? So
yeah.
You want your guys to look professional.
Well, it's even happened other times, but those are special type of people that we don't want to talk about. But
yeah, but
most of the
9 out
time,
of 10
they
times,
happen.
especially if people are expecting somebody to be there, like they're not.
Well,
Gonna
no, I'm
judge
talking
it,
about
you know
like
what I mean?
neighbors and shit like that.
Yeah, that's true
Yeah,
too.
'cause,
Especially if vacant homes, like people start asking questions around the neighborhood.
Well,
or something.
here's like an example. Is like last week, Ralph, who is black, he had to go to a house and he was telling me, he called me like, hey, the lockbox is on the other side of the house. The only way for me to get to it is jump the fence. I called the person, made sure it was cool with them because it was a rental, and the neighbor saw him jumping the fence, and then obviously they start asking a lot of questions going over there, and they literally were like, oh, we were gonna call the cops if you didn't show the paper, like saying that you were there to work. So they'll see someone in uniform and they'll still be like,
yeah,
what the heck are you doing?
Yeah, that's true too. But I mean, yeah,
I think one of
that's
the
a very specific situation.
Yeah. I think, well, it can happen.
Yeah, it can happen. It can happen to anybody too.
Yeah, so it's not even just in that specific scenario. Anytime that you're working in a place, you want to make sure you have something signed that says you're allowed to be there, because the last thing you want is, God forbid you're working with someone with dementia or something that's calling in a service. They go there and they don't even know who the fuck you are. Later,
or
and then
you're already in their house.
Yeah,
and then later on in the afternoon, they don't know.
They call the cops on you or something. You don't have anything signed saying you're supposed to be there. Gun. Yeah, so that's
you're kind of fucked at that point, right?
Yeah, man. At that point, you're screwed. But So I think those are like baseline questions that we got all the time, and I feel like those are pretty good answers. And, so if you guys have any more questions, like I said, we're doing a Q&A. You can submit the questions on, you can text them to me if you'd like. 321-443-1641. That's the company phone number. You could also, on Instagram, at BathTubGuys on Instagram, Facebook if you want. Either one is fine. But, more questions, we'll answer them to the best of our ability, and sometimes we'll do them here, but I want to really do like a Q&A kind of thing. Maybe like a live stream type of thing. That'd be cool.
Yeah, live would probably be best.
Yeah. So we've gone to that part of the show that I wanted to do with Alex specifically, because he did this, for 8 years or 9 years. Or was it 8? It's not like that. Too long. We don't even know the number anymore. But anyway.
It's 8. Yeah.
Yeah, 8. So last week when I did the podcast, I kind of did this thing where I read some competitors' reviews, and
oh man,
and so that was a little bit. It was rough around the edges. I wanted my genuine reaction, so I was live on like the Google business link, reading reviews, and semi might have exposed the guy, but the guy is kind of a trash man, might have deserved it. I don't know. Man. I mean, he was cursing out customers on the page. Like,
really?
He was calling. A lady left a 3-star review with no context, and he's just like, "This is just another loser. Like, this lady's a loser, and I bet when she goes home to her husband, he doesn't even tolerate her." And I'm just like, "Whoa, man!" All of the responses were like that. So.
Why is he so angry?
Oh, yeah, no. And then, every single time someone called for a warranty, he's in the hospital, so that's fun, So he was one of those guys, But this week, I'm going to go a little bit more controlled, not exposing anybody. I vetted these. I double, triple looked them. And so we'll get his reaction, my reaction. I'll read them. I'm going to put them up on the big screen, and then you guys are going to have a different screen. So just bear with me for a second while I get this thing ready. All right.
Oh, man. This is going to be interesting.
So I'm going to go ahead and open that, and then you guys are going to see this. All right. So everything's on screen. Just making sure. So this is the first one. Let me move my cursor over here, the mouse. The first one of the reviews. And we're going to go ahead and read it. So it says, "I will never do business with blank. I have been sending blank referrals for 11 years, and now I feel guilty for doing so, since I'm sure he has given my referrals similar runaround. I hired blank to do 3 tubs in 1 week in different properties we own. He broke our shower door in the first property, Then he refused to replace it. He said it exploded in his hands and was not his fault. We had just had the place painted 2 days before, so it was pretty easy to spot the corner-shaped gouge in the wall where he ran the shower door into. It was that when removing it, plus he did a pretty rough job on the tub. In another property, we paid him extra to strip the tub completely before applying the new finish. We were very specific that the former owner had used a home refinishing kit and wanted it completely stripped. When he arrived on the site, he thought he can get away with a partial strip. We said no, and we paid for the full strip. Then he only stripped the bottom of the tub, of course. The sides, which he didn't strip, started bubbling and peeling within weeks. He has been out there 2 additional times, and each time has promised to do a full strip on the tub, as we originally requested. And they just keep having other issues pop up within days or weeks. He has since stopped responding to calls and texts, so I have been forced to hire another refinishing company and pay a second time to get this job done properly. Terrible is what they wrote. So
who the hell is this guy?
All right. So one thing, yeah. You see, this is a fun segment to do because it's just different from the thing.
This guy's hilarious. All right, let me tell you something.
All right.
I've had glass shower doors explode in my hands,
and we talked about this a lot. That's why I want to get on there.
They do not just explode in your hand. You have to stress the glass, and depending on how thick the glass is, you have to stress it a lot. So
yeah,
the fact that he bashed it into a corner and claimed that it just exploded in his hand is hilarious.
He's like, oh,
it just doesn't add up. Yeah, he's contradicting himself, but that's great.
Yeah. But the thing that I did want to touch on is, see, this is important for people because, like we talked about in the last one we did, like not doing things you're not supposed to do, and how that one time with the glass door you did.
We definitely learned our lesson in that situation,
and
but
that's why you don't do it.
We also owned up to it. The moment it happened, we owned up to it, and we paid. We lost money on that job. Mm-hmm. The tub was $275 at that time. That's what we were pricing, and the glass door came out to like $285. So we ended up losing money. You know, so
yeah. But it just goes back to the importance of doing things. Do what you know.
Yeah.
Do what you know, because like, look at this guy.
He could have avoided a whole situation just by telling him, "Oh, I can't remove the glass door."
Also, another thing that really pisses me off, as like, if you're gonna go back, do it right.
Yeah.
And if you
why make more work for yourself down the line?
And
makes no sense.
If you're gonna go back a second time after you already went back once, like you did the job, you went, something came up, then the third time you gotta be eagle eye in that shit. Make sure nothing happens. If not, just give the people their money back if it's not possible after that.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is
you're not only wasting your time, you're making yourself look bad, you're wasting their time, and you're costing yourself more money, wasting material, wasting your time, your labor, all of that.
Yeah, and
gas.
If you really can't do it, just don't do it.
Yep.
If it's not coming out, it's like the lady with that countertop that we talked about in the last episode.
Yep.
The paint kept projecting the surface. We went back 3 times. After that, we just had to call it. We didn't charge her. We couldn't.
And, we were completely transparent throughout the entire process. We kept her updated step by step, and she appreciated that. And that's another reason why, like, she was still completely happy.
Wrote a 5-star review even after all of that.
Exactly. And she was a great customer.
She tipped you as well? Like,
yeah, even when we came back to tell her we couldn't do anything, she still tipped us. That's how grateful she was to just like have that honesty from us.
Well, that's the difference between professionalism and these fly-by-night guys that try to just pull a fast one on people. Or, like this, like obviously he didn't know what the fuck he was doing, broke the shower glass door, and instead of just owning up to it, he feels like he got to be secretive about it.
Yeah, and the fact that you're charging someone additional for stripping and then you're just trying to partially sand the tub, that's not good.
No, and if we partially strip something,
you're setting yourself up to make yourself look terrible down the line. Because obviously, especially, they mention it's a Home Depot kit, which is a very cheap material. It doesn't even have like a proper primer on it. Yep. That stuff flakes off with your fingernail. So, you use any type of industrial quality paint on that surface, it's gonna lift it itself. The catalyst is enough alone to melt off that paint.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful, because at that point he would have just made it easier on himself.
To just strip it.
Exactly. He could have took razor blades and just stripped that shit down, and he would have avoided all of this. Well, I don't know about the glass door thing, but
well, yeah, I mean, the issue.
That's great.
The issue I see was him starting with that, but really, when you're doing it, if you're telling someone it needs to be fully stripped, you gotta, when you say words like fully strip it.
Yep.
If you wanna,
that's literally false advertising.
If you're not sure what needs to be done, then just tell them it needs to be stripped, and I don't know if it's a partial or whatever, and this is the flat rate for stripping, period, which is kind of what we do, because sometimes you can't tell. But if it's a Home Depot kit, and we see that it's coming off with your nail like that, I mean, we pull the razor blade down, just get it off.
Yep.
It's easier. You don't risk contamination. So, that was a fun one.
that guy's great. I wonder where he's at now. He's still in business?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
And, what's funny about this guy is that he has like 128 reviews, a 3-star rating, and people just keep giving him business. I mean, at some point, it starts to veer off to it's the customer's fault for not doing the research.
It's not even the research. It's that's probably the type of.
Granted, this is an old one. This is a 5-year-old one, but there are ones that are more.
I mean, it might just be the image that he portrays his company as. Maybe he advertises as a cheap company that will just make it look decent for cheap. And then people aren't expecting much to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know. Perhaps.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're not expecting much, if you're not expecting much, well, then you can't fault the guy for, I'm going to do something.
Yeah, but there's a difference between you're not sure if the tub was going to come out a little rough or not, but destroying your actual property and claiming that it's not his fault like that. It's
just me personally.
That's hilarious.
I feel like
that's not my fault.
If I want a fucking good pizza, I'm reading reviews.
Yeah, that's true.
Something that's a couple $100, it's
yeah, especially something in your own home. You're literally investing in a project, a renovation project that you want to make sure you're going to hire somebody who's going to do it right.
Exactly. Even if it's
you're
cheap,
already spending the money. If you have to save up and get a couple $100 more to get it from a company with a good reputation,
it's going to save you the glass door cost.
It's not going to, the glass door cost.
Yeah.
I like that.
And the little hole in the wall,
that should be a new terminology in this industry. All right,
so this is from someone named Sue. I'm going to pull it up so I can read it on my end.
Say Sue.
There you go.
All right.
So
Sue.
It says
professionalism, quality.
Oh, yeah. 5 months ago. So this one's recent. This is not the same company as someone else. It's probably in a different state, too. Because today I got, I went all over the place. So it says, this is the second time I have had blank refinish my 2 bathrooms, my 2 bathroom sinks and bathtub. Each time the finish eventually chips and peels off. The first time the owner came out and fixed the issues. This time he was rude and said that the 5-year guarantee only covered peeling. I threatened to give him a bad review and he came back with, well, I didn't say I wouldn't fix it. He came to the house and rudely said, well, do you want me to fix it or not? Then he proceeded to spray another coat on one sink. He did the work and then left my house without saying a word, slamming the door as he left.
Wow. Yeah. This just seems like a situation where the guy was not happy to even go back. And he was just being, pretty belligerent. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's being belligerent, but he was being kind of snarky, giving her an attitude. And it was just very unprofessional to not only, leave like that and just not communicate with your customer.
Yeah.
But to just kind of do a half-assed job in general and then give her attitude on top of that.
So one thing that I see here that's really important that might help people listening is if your guarantee only covers peeling, make sure they know that beforehand. Don't come out after things are going wrong and say, well, the warranty only covers this. And so
do these companies, do they actually have a written warranty or do they just
is it
a word of mouth?
They probably are yep, it's good for 5 years.
Yeah,
that's the extent of it. Well, because we have a very, very clear, concise written warranty. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of caveats in there because there has to be, because there's only a couple ways that this material doesn't adhere properly, and really, really does fail. So if it only covers peeling, well, then you gotta make sure that you express that to them. And if it only covers peeling and does not cover your workmanship, and you're Mr. fucking Ruffy McGee out there, and everything's coming out super rough and coarse, well then just think about the jobs you're going to be landing.
The thing is, too,
you're not going to be landing many jobs like that.
That's such a vague statement, right? Because like peeling can be caused by a number of different factors. It could be poor prep. It could
from
be
a chip becoming
It could
peeling.
be a chip. It could be exactly. Like even there's a little scratch on the surface. Too much humidity in the bathroom can cause peeling. It can be a number of different factors. It could be the customer's fault, but you're leaving them open to question your workmanship at the end of the day. Yep. And you're kind of screwing yourself over when you're not, using specific terminology, telling them, all right, it covers peeling if it's caused by this, and these are the indicators for that. And that's an easy way to avoid, like, you're kind of setting yourself up for disaster and for them to question your work at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think it's also...
No matter how good it comes out, honestly.
Yeah, but when you're paying for something like this, you see, I want to give both sides just to be fair, because I'm sure people, if you're in the refinishing industry, you will encounter something like this or customers, and the important thing is communication at the end of the day, but it's also partially the responsibility of, like, if you as a contractor are not putting everything out there, that's a mistake, right? Mm-hmm. But if you as the client aren't doing your due diligence and making sure you know the fucking warranty before, don't go and complain about the terms after.
Yeah, or just researching the company in general.
Yeah.
If they're not reputable and you already see that they don't have like good reviews, and most people, especially if it's recent reviews and stuff like that, most people aren't satisfied with the quality. Why even take the chance on these persons? Like, what makes you think that they're screwing over 50 people and the 51st person, they're going to do a good job?
Well, they're probably not reading them, or either that or word of mouth. But even, like, I don't think I've ever used anything word of mouth that's been good. Like, I don't know. People,
like, word of mouth does go a long way if you have the quality to back it up.
Yeah.
But
you still have to do research.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Because at the end of the day, somebody gives their neighbor a card, gives them your card. More than likely, they're not just gonna call you because they saw like it looks nice. They're gonna look up your website and they're gonna see what you offer. They're gonna see where you're located or what the reviews in general. So, I mean, I know that's what I do. Shit, I mean, I look at fast food places if I'm going down the street to get a bite. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. That's what I said about the pizza. Like, man, I read reviews for anything, even something small like that. So
if I go to a restaurant, like, I'm not going to go to a restaurant where everybody just hates how the food comes out half cold. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to go to a restaurant like that.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, and I get the expectation from the person is like, oh, these people are professionals because they say they're professionals, and that's what I was going off of. But like, anybody could say anything online. It's a blessing and a curse. I mean, you can find good people so much easier because reviews are so readily available.
Yeah.
But if you don't do your research and you don't actually do actual research, you can get fucked over. So, all right. So we're gonna go to the third one. We got 4. So, all right, this is a good one. I'm gonna cut to that right now. All right, this is from Kelly. 2 years ago,
is this the same guy?
No, this is different.
Okay, they're all different.
Scattered around. Yeah, I didn't want to. I wanted to get different takes in there.
All right.
It says I had him come out to fix one small crack in my tub. Less than 4 weeks later, the tub now has 2 cracks in the patch he did. I feel like you could push with your finger through the repair. I called him and reported the issue. He stated it should not do that. It shouldn't do that.
It really shouldn't.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't. Yeah, like come on, bro. All right. So yeah, it shouldn't do that. Now my calls go to voicemail, and he will not return my text. If you try to find the address for his place of business, the address is fake. She put an address there. I didn't want you guys to go look and roast this guy. But anyway, the address is fake. But the bright shiny brand brand truck was not. I think she meant brand new truck was not, which means, she's kind of alluding to like he's ripping people off and he's driving around like a nice new truck or something like that. So, what do you think about this guy here?
Honestly, sad to say that this is not very uncommon. Like, there's a lot of people who would just do shoddy work. They'll make that quick buck, and they will block your number and hope they never got to hear from you again. You know what I mean?
Especially with fiberglass, which is such a... And we tell people anytime it's fiberglass, anytime. It doesn't matter if it's a hotel. It doesn't matter what it is. Fiberglass is very tricky, and it's hard to warranty it. And so if it's something that, like, we go over there and it's really brittle and it's going to crack somewhere else, we tell people, this is a temporary fix. You might want to think about replacing. Yep. So...
Yeah, the way those fiberglass tubs are made, too, it's literally a sheet of fiberglass heated in the oven to like 500 degrees, and then they use a vacuum to suck it through a mold, and it gets all the shape. So it's super thin. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, like, how expensive the tub is. Most of the time, it's super thin fiberglass.
So a mistake that I'm assuming happened here, though, because it did crack somewhere else, 4 weeks later, I'm assuming he didn't drill holes to break the tension.
Yeah.
It's probably most likely what it was.
Yeah, not only that, he just did a crappy little body
job.
fill patch over the top of it without actually dremeling out, any little valleys and crevices for that Bondo to actually grip onto, like stitches.
And it might be shitty work. It might be inexperience.
And another thing that could have helped is to just drill a hole all the way through. Use some fucking great stuff, expanding foam down there.
Yep.
And make it structurally sound. So when somebody does put some pressure on the top, the weight is going directly onto the foam. The foam is handling all of that pressure. It's not
giving it support.
Exactly. It's not, all the tension isn't directly on the top surface there where the floor.
If you see, she said that she feels like you could push it through with a finger. So I mean,
that means there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing underneath there actually supporting that.
Yeah. So
this is just a good example of somebody doing shitty work and then not being responsible enough to actually come and own up to it and fix it. And take the loss because they did the shitty work. Out
of all the ones I have here, I think this is the only one that, like, maybe we can see, like, maybe he's not necessarily the shittiest guy in town, but, because fiberglass sucks. It really does suck.
Yeah, but there's still ways to make it better.
Exactly, or to make it right with the customer.
Yeah,
that, like, you don't just not answer.
You at least try.
Exactly, and
you
don't
answer the phone. Go out of your way to make her clear up her calendar and her schedule for you. To then be a coward the day of and just not show up and completely have her blocked, like that's pussy shit. And if you
tell a customer that you can warranty something, or it still comes with the warranty, and you don't tell them what's actually covered by the warranty, and then it cracks open, well then that's your responsibility, and you should give them the money back if you can't fix it.
Yep. Like if you're claiming to have any type of warranty guarantee on your work, you need to have the terms and conditions with that.
That would have saved his ass here.
Yeah. If he that's with anything. Shit, you get a phone and you need to agree to the terms and conditions before you can even use that shit.
I had an instance. I mean?
Most people don't even read it either.
I had an instance this week, actually, where a lady that we did a tub enclosure for, there was no support underneath, obviously, because they're supposed to put mortar underneath it when they build houses, but they cheap out. And they don't do it. Eventually, there's a lot of give and it cracks. So we did the tub enclosure about 2 years ago. She called me because it was cracking, and I was like, "Well, like cracking the paint or like the actual?" She's like, "Oh no, it's actually cracking." And I'm like, "Well, on your warranty it says." And she didn't get upset. In fact, she paid for us to go out and repair the crack again because it's a rental property, and replacing it is going to cost her thousands.
Yeah. So, not only that, rental units suck, and most of the time tenants don't take care of shit.
So, but the point I'm trying to give people who might be doing this is, like, don't not do fiberglass, but be honest about the expectations.
Yep.
And worst case scenario, you might make extra money off of it from being honest. Yeah. Because I guarantee you there's some jackass out there that's probably paid in beer, like we talked about that one time, who's probably like, "Oh yeah, I'll warranty it for 10 years or 5 years or whatever the heck." And nothing's ever going to happen, and then you get one of these. When, if you're honest from the beginning and you tell them that you can't warranty it, and for the reasons why you can't warranty it, then they're more likely to be like, okay, well, at least I could trust this person because, for a lot of people, that would be a turnoff. That would be, it would break the deal. Oh, you can't warranty it? Well, I'm not going to do it. If the person's still willing to do it, even after you're not, warranting it, it's because they probably just don't want to spend the money. Mm-hmm. So they'll throw you an extra $100 to make it look nice for the next tenant, and that's it. Be done with it. Make extra money off of it. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm gonna go. That was a fun one.
But this one could have definitely just been avoided with the guy just, telling her the extent of the damage and that, it was past the limit of his capabilities, and that's all he had to say.
So here's a picture. This is not the same tub, but this is kind of like what I was talking about, what we encountered. So typically what we would do on this, so like kind of break down what your procedure would be on something like this.
The first thing you would want to do, it's just dirty on the side. Yeah, with that main crack, since it's shaped almost like an H, what you would want to do, the first thing you want to do is to stop that crack. So you want to take a drill, and you want to drill out all the ends of each of those cracks. So you want to stop it on all the points where that crack is either ending or where there's like sharp turns, anywhere where there could be pressure on the fiberglass in specific points. It's easy to see or even feel. It's all you want to do is to stop it so that the crack doesn't extend any further when there is more pressure on top. So after doing that, then you usually get a Dremel tool, and I'll level everything out. And obviously, when things crack, they're not completely level. Some pieces of the floor will be higher than the others. What you're doing is you're creating a canal in between all the cracks. You're almost widening the crack itself. You're creating like a little valley like this for the Bondo to sit into, your body fill to actually sit into. And after you do that, obviously you want to give it a light sanding over the top. I would inject, a ton of foam down there to the point that it's, coming out through the holes, coming out through the cracks, because you want that to be completely, backed by something structurally sound.
You would do screw holes to break tension.
Yeah, I drill holes
and
to
then
break
through
tension
those
on
same
the ends,
holes,
and then Dremel it out.
Okay.
And then I Dremel it out first just because that foam, if it's really a bitch to deal with once it starts getting tacky before it dries. Once it's dry, it's not too bad to work with. But that's why I like to do all like the mechanical shit first. So I drill out the the main points of tension, make sure those cracks are stopped. I Dremel it out, create that valley for the Bondo to sit in. Then I inject the foam. Once the foam is completely set, it's completely dry. You can slam your fucking hand on that crack and it should not budge. That's how that shit gets cement rock hard. So
and you shouldn't hear creaking in that part. Now, in other parts of it, you might hear it and stuff, but if that's not the area you're working on, we're talking if you're just doing the repair here. This is your only mission that day.
Yeah, and a can or two of that foam
should expand.
You can easily fill the whole bottom of that tub. So,
but keep in mind, even with all the proper precaution, even with doing everything like he said, there are still times where the fiberglass is just brittle from years of ill maintenance, and sometimes they're just old, and they'll still crack.
Yeah.
So, like we used to do a property in Haines City called Greenleaf that's from like the 70s, and we had it was a big lady, and I can say that because I'm a big guy. there was a big lady, and she would crack the tub very often, and eventually the only fix became getting that liquid tub liner stuff, which goes on really, really thick, and it's poured on, and we had to pour it on the floor of the tub and let it dry for a week before she could use it. Never cracked again, thank God. But like sometimes at that point, and we had already recommended them to replace that thing like 20 times. Mm-hmm. They're cheap, and that's part of the reason why we don't work there no more. But
yeah. So after you have some structure on the floor, something a good solid base. Mm-hmm. This is where we usually cut out a fiberglass sheet, and I like to use some of the Bondo glass itself that has fiberglass in itself. Yeah, so I like to mix a little bit of that, put a thin layer over the actual crack, and then lay the sheet over that, and then cover it with more of the Bondo glass.
Yeah, so that way you're creating something for it to stick to.
Yeah,
and then
you're creating those. It's like layers of adhesion, just like the paint prep, right? You don't want to just put Bondo on a dirty surface where it's not decontaminated, it's not scuffed up, not etched enough for anything to grip onto, because it's just gonna peel right off. Like, it's not gonna grip. So that's the same reason we create those valleys with the Dremel tool. We want that material to be able to not only set in there, but to actually grip onto the fiberglass itself. So after the sheet, after those layers, it's almost like you're sandwiching a fiberglass sheet in between two blobs of Bondo. Mm-hmm. And then you want to sand it, as smooth as you can get it. And then we're going to, on that, we would usually use our second stage body fill, which is a lot finer. It doesn't have any fibers in it. Mm-hmm. And that'll allow you to get a very smooth finish on the floor. And then, depending on what they're doing, you want to do anti-skid, and then you're just refinishing. If you're doing a spot repair, then, you can just focus on the spot, or then, you continue the process according to however you're going to refinish it.
Yeah, something really important that he mentioned there, and I know a lot of people don't do because it costs more. Bondo glass, use it because it actually has fiberglass in it.
And it's actually waterproof, and that's a big thing, especially something like this.
Yeah, compared to actual Bondo, like regular Bondo glass is waterproof, and it actually has fibers, a little bit more resistant, and it doesn't sand as easy, but that's why there's different stages. If you ever read the bottles of the Bondo, it'll tell you what stage it's for. Yeah, this one is for repairing, then there's one for finishing. So you get, you use that one for repairing and filling, use another one for finishing to get those fine.
And then the glazing and spot putty, the red putty, like I was using on the Clawfoot tub, that's to get the very fine little nicks details, and that creates a really smooth finish.
Only other thing that you can use, and you still have to use a fiberglass cloth, is fiberglass resin. But the fiberglass resin is a little tricky because it's kind of like a liquidy thing. It gets really sticky and stuff like that. So
usually putty is a lot easier to work with. Like the consistency of it is a lot easier to work with. It's like almost malleable, but it's not super watery, but it's not super thick. It's almost like a dough, like a Play-Doh or whatever you want to say. Wherever you place it, it stays there and it holds its shape. That's very important. It doesn't run. It doesn't drip down,
That's the tricky thing about fiberglass resin.
Yeah, and when you get any of these body fills, just make sure you mix them really well, especially the fiberglass one, the Bondo glass. That one, the fibers like to separate from the actual mixture, so you want to make sure it's completely homogeneous before you add any hardener or anything.
Yeah, and don't put too much hardener either.
Yeah, it's typically a 10-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, so like you said, 10-to-1. So if you have, if you have about a foot of, let's say, lengthwise of Bondo, you're gonna want to put about 2 inches of it would be the red stuff.
It all depends on the volume. And it also depends on, the temperature in which you're working at. If you're somewhere really hot and humid, that shit's going to dry in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
So, if you're somewhere where it's a lot more regulated and the temperature's controlled and it's nice and cool, it'll last you a lot longer. So, you can get away. Because the thing about it, when you add the hardener to the actual body fill, it accelerates all the cells in there, and then they heat up. And when they heat up, heat makes it dry a lot faster. So if you're in an area where it's very humid and very hot, you need to be very cautious on how much hardener you actually apply to the mixture, because it's going to dry a lot faster.
Yeah.
If you're somewhere where it's cool temperature, you can get away with adding a little bit more hardener, or just. Yeah, you can get away with adding a little bit more hardener, but typically you don't want to go over 10-to-1 anyway, because if you add too much hardener, it makes the Bondo retract. So you could have it in a set shape where you think it's completely filled, and then it'll start kind of lifting on its own because it's solidifying too much, it's contracting too much.
Yeah, so and the Bondo glass does that more than the other Bondo. That's why the other Bondo's for finishing.
Yeah,
you gotta be really careful. Fill in those little crevices and stuff.
Yeah, but 10-to-1 is always a good ratio.
Good ratio,
you don't want to see any of the distinctive colors that were originally, because the hardener is typically red and the Bondo glass is typically like a green. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be able to clearly see either of those colors. You want to look for almost like a brown, rusty color.
Yeah, or like a pink if you're using the finishing. Usually,
depending on which color the hardener is.
Now, that reminds me, I did, one of the people who submitted a question for the Q&A asked about rust, what to use to after they kill the rust, what to use to as a body fill over it, because she was told that Bondo wasn't water resistant. So it's a good thing that you told me that, because now I got an answer for her. Bondo glass is what you'll want to use.
Yeah,
there.
the main thing, So main thing when you have any type of rust, especially if it's, you're working on standard tubs, I'm not talking about cast iron, where you have the convenience where you can go get it sandblasted and get all the rust removed.
Well, that's what clawfoot tubs. There's
that's what I'm saying.
cast
If you're
iron,
working in a standard, tub, the main thing you want to do is get it down to the bare metal, right? So there's a few different ways you can do this. You can use sandpaper, you can use an orbital sander like you would usually do in this type of process. Okay. You can use a wire brush, so you can use it on a drill or, something along those lines, and you can use a Dremel tool. If it's the only time I would really use a Dremel tool is if, like, a lot of times, for instance, around the overflow, it would be really oxidized. Yeah, it would be completely rotted out. The metal's, corroded to the point that you need to basically reconstruct that whole area. So instances like that, where it's rust completely through, all the way through the actual metal itself, you want to Dremel away all that contaminated metal, all that, compromised area, get it down to where the point that it's solid metal. And, you should, under that layer of porcelain, you should see that black metal underneath, right? Yeah. So you want to make sure, in instances like that, you're using a Dremel to get all of that rust completely out.
In an overflow area.
Overflow or drain area, that's typically where it happens the most, because that's where, water pulls up or water stays behind the overflow. All right, so surface rust. With surface rust, you can take care of it two ways. Wire brush, nice strong wire brush, and then I would use like a steel bristle brush, something really, really abrasive, or you could use sandpaper and an orbital sander. Orbital sander is typically for more like really light surface rust, stuff like that. Something that's going into the surface a little bit more, you can get away with using the wire brush. That's just going to clean it out, literally give it that brush metal look, and it's going to allow you. When you're using a wire brush or sander or Dremel, you're simultaneously, as you're getting rid of that rust, you're prepping the surface, you're etching the surface for that bonder to sit on.
Yeah, the bonder's going to sit on it a lot better.
So you don't want to just put Bondo glass directly on a metal surface. You can because it's gonna adhere properly because it's bare metal, and you've already created an etch by with the mechanical, whichever way you've created the mechanical etch. You can typically, just to be safe, I like to apply the rust inhibitor, and then on top of that I like to apply the Bondo, just because you avoid any rust coming from back on. And
from that part,
and then the Bondo, you can always lightly sand the rust inhibitor. It dries really fast. You can always lightly sand it and then create more of an etch on that surface for the Bondo to adhere to. Okay. Like I say, that's not necessarily like required all the time. You can go ahead and once you get that rust off, make sure it's completely decontaminated. That's another thing too. With rust, there's always dust, so you want to make sure you wipe it down with some alcohol, make sure there's no residual dust, no residual rust particles on there, because it will repel any body fill you try to put on there. Now, if you're going to be applying something directly to bare metal, like, if you're going to be using a body fill or, anything that's rusted out where you need to use a body fill and you want it to be water resistant, it needs to be Bondo glass. You can't use like a standard putty, you can't use a standard body fill just because they're not water resistant at all, and they don't actually have fibers to kind of nest together when they solidify to make it completely waterproof.
And tell people what fiberglass Bondo glass is used for a lot of the time.
It's for marine grade
repairing
boat fixtures. Yeah, boats. That's literally what it is. So
it's boat bodywork. They use Bondo glass.
Yep, that's exactly what they use for it. And they have it literally on the cans.
Yep, they got the little picture of the boat next to the car. Yeah. It's good for both, but for water especially, Bondo glass is your best bet.
If you need to make sure that there's not going to be any water getting through, use Bondo glass. We use it for, when we do our jacuzzi conversions and we seal jets completely, we put a backboard, we put a piece of board back there, and then we seal it with the Bondo glass, and then we put a layer of our finishing Bondo over that. but it makes it completely waterproof. And those tubs, you know, like each of those jets have like 100 pounds of water pressure on each one, just because, you know, you fill up a tub, it has a lot of water pressure in there.
Yeah.
But you know,
they don't pop open.
They
that
don't pop open at all, and they don't leak.
And it's a little flexible, which is good too.
Yeah.
It's a little flexible. Not super, but it's a little flexible, and it's good for that. So we're gonna go to the last one. This is a special one. I think you're gonna like this one.
Why?
Because it's really funny.
Oh, really?
It's funny, sad, but funny because it's from interesting character. But anyway, it says, "Do not use this company. Look on the Better Business Bureau first. Also, read the way he responds to poor reviews, calling customers horrible names. I wish I would have. I hired them to reglaze my tub and tile. I paid in cash. The owner acknowledged that there were drips due to humidity and would be back the next day to fix them. Not only were there drips, but complete mist areas, and they sprayed all over my brand new floor tile. He did not call or come then, or to the next. What did I say? Or to the next 2 appointments chosen by him over the next few days. So he didn't show up to the next few appointments after he made them, basically. They do not call or return contact. There is no record of this license that is listed on the receipt, and they have an F on the Better Business Bureau. All complaints the last few months of this exact occurrence. This is actually criminal that they are taking cash from people, botching the job, and then disappearing. I have included pictures."
Jesus.
So
see, there's people like this that just make our entire industry look bad.
This is one instance where I could say wholeheartedly this guy is definitely 100% shitty.
Yeah.
Like the other people are kind of questionable. Things happen sometimes, but no, this guy, every review is like this.
Oh, really?
And his responses are gold. We saw one last week of his responses. They're great. Unfortunately, this one didn't have a response, but he goes everywhere from calling people fat and ugly to calling them losers, and it's just...
Oh, man.
But, see, here's a picture...
Did they deserve it?
Well, here's a picture of the tile, and I don't know if you could really see it well there, but here is like white, and right here, that's primer coming through. I don't know if you could really... It doesn't transfer well on the big screen here. But this like patch on my end, you could really see it good, is like primer. And then over here, it's like top coat. So that tells me,
kind of see it.
It tells me what I think happened there is just he just didn't spray enough material.
Yeah.
And he probably had like an orange peel kind of look.
At least he sprayed primer.
Now, if this guy has any, well, yeah, for real, honestly, unless that was the original color of the tile, in which case it's even. I mean, it's terrible. If that's, it might be. I mean, this doesn't seem like the type of guy that would take the precaution for the primer. So maybe.
Oh man.
Well, I'm gonna cut back to it. So
he only buys top coat.
Yeah, no, he only buys top coat. Yeah, but on here you can kind of see this primer, or
I see like the smudge on that tile, like the second tile.
Oh, you know what? That's true. So he didn't use. It looks like he didn't even give this thing an acid wash. Because
well, I don't know.
The smudge looks just dirty.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, explains the rating.
Light coat over the whole thing.
Well, regardless, he gave this thing a pretty light coat here. You can see like whatever was underneath is showing. It must
have just been really inconsistent because, like, well, you can see from this tiny little fucking 20 tile picture that it's inconsistent. On the right, you can see primer on that old color. On the left, you can see white, and then you see that smudge on the top. And then on top of that, they say there's runs. So it's like, Jesus, how inconsistent was this spray pattern?
Yeah, here's some pictures. In multiple areas, it's like that. He's inconsistent in the spray. But also, the fact that it's coming off so easily. She doesn't really say if it's areas that are peeling. So I am siding more to like maybe he just sprayed it on light.
Oh, I can see that one where your cursor's at, the front panel one.
Yeah.
I can literally see the primer.
Yeah, so it looks like it's primer, or maybe he didn't use primer.
Yeah, maybe it was like an old color.
It was a bisque or something like that. But regardless, probably because it's this guy, I'm saying poor prep. But sometimes this can happen if you spray it too lightly.
not just poor spray pattern.
Yeah,
poor job overall.
I mean, he didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
But if you encounter something like this as a refinisher, it might just be that you sprayed it on too light. And if anything, I mean, if we can take anything that, this guy said for his word, which probably not, but if he's being truthful that it was humid that day and that maybe he ran, saw that it ran and was like, I need to go, faster or lighter. And he just missed spots. And then it turned into that later.
The thing about it, if you're spraying, a light medium coat as your first base coat, like you're supposed to.
Well, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, so I'm pretty sure he didn't do that.
Like that's what I'm saying though. Like if you spray that light to medium coat on the base coat like you're supposed to after the primer, there's no reason there should be runs at all, right? So even if it is humid, you should be able to address that before it even happens. If you have any type of experience.
Yeah, and I don't know, but if she didn't really specify, but if she paid and this was blatant in front of her face,
yeah, that's kind of ridiculous.
She kind of deserved it.
I wouldn't say she deserved it, but you should have definitely said something right in the moment. Well, it seemed also like she did because it seemed like the guy was going to come back.
Yeah.
So she probably pointed it out after the job.
This guy already, this review is not that, I don't know if it's that old. Let's check it out. 3 months ago. This guy already has an established, he's already well established as
he's infamous.
A bad guy. He has really bad reviews. And so she didn't do her due diligence clearly because this guy, you don't hear from him once he gets paid. So, I'm not saying she deserves it, but do your due diligence if you're a customer out there. I mean, don't let this shit happen to you, especially this guy. Read reviews of who the hell you're hiring. Yeah. This guy, before that, he had another 100 bad reviews. So it's why are you surprised? Mm-hmm. And I've seen a couple reviews from this guy where he's been doing tubs for $100. And people are like, oh, well, I went with him because of the great price. Well, now it's going to cost you double, honey. It's going to cost you more.
I don't understand that logic. It's I'm going to cheap out as much as I can. I'm going to find the cheapest guy to do this job. And I hope he does a great job.
And then they don't read reviews at the very least.
Yeah.
There are good budget companies that will do a good job.
Good job, yep.
But, I mean, if you're going to let them screw you up. And also, if you did know about this guy's reputation and you paid him in cash, then I do say it's kind of your fault. If you already knew he was kind of shitty and you're like, oh, I'm going to pay you in cash. Every the 100 people before me that he screwed over, that's not going to be me. And then you pay him in cash on top of that. It's come on, bro.
Stupid.
I would
have gave him a check, and then the moment he didn't show up the next day,
stop payment.
Yep, stop the fucking.
Or put it on a credit card. Call the credit card company. They'll take anything back. They don't fucking care.
That's true.
They're really
flexible. But wouldn't he already get the money if he pays with the credit card? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you can call the credit card, tell them you want to reverse the charge.
Yeah.
If it's a credit card, it's better because credit cards do a thing where if you don't like the service,
cash you're kind of asked.
Well, cash you're hopeless. I mean, I've had this conversation with mom.
No
sometimes.
paper trail.
Mom's like, oh, that's why I like to carry cash. I'm like, you know what happens when you lose your wallet full of cash? You never see it again, buddy. If somebody steals money from my fucking bank account, call the bank. It's back in there. So it happened the other day with my Capital One card. Somebody took it. They're spending $90 at Walmart. I called them. They gave me the money back, canceled the card. You lose cash, it's gone forever. Cash is great, but it's also there is literally, like you said, no paper trail. There's no proof. This guy can scrub he could scrub the
cash
books
is old,
and make it look
man. That's old-timey transactions.
Yeah, that's what the boomers use, man. All right.
We do accept payments in cash.
We accept cash. Check. Cash is good because you have to report it, but other than that, it's kind of an inconvenience. I don't know. I honestly think, me personally, every time I'm paying for something high dollar, I would much rather do it with a cash or with a check or card.
I'd rather have that trail, right? I want those statements following me if I'm paying for something.
Here's the danger of someone like this guy. If you pay with cash with this guy, you call him for a warranty, even if he was a little bit more honest of a guy, there are some people that they can literally scrub your whole file, and if you don't have a canceled check in the checking account of that guy to prove that it was deposited, he can literally like, no, you called someone else. This isn't the right guy, and he can just claim whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Because there is no trail. Credit cards and checks, they give you some sort of security and they have a trail. Cash is good, but
Yep.
things like this happen sometimes.
Yep. You need that safety net, dude.
So this last one isn't a review. This is just kind of a guy on Reddit. I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory. This guy on Reddit wanted to sell his house.
All right.
And last minute, he's like, well, I'm going to try to refinish tubs. I'm going to refinish the tub in my house because I want to save money, don't want to hire a pro. And then 3 days before the house is about to be sold, he's asking people on Reddit. It's old, but he's asking people on Reddit at this time, like, can someone please help me fix this? And just so that you could see what happens when you have no fucking idea what you're doing and you think refinishing tubs is easy. I think he said he had some car painting experience, like he was a car painter. So it's going to be interesting. Let me see if I could pull it up here. I might have to open it up on this screen. So I'm hyping it up a little bit because it looks like shit. Let me see if I have I have a picture of it here. All right. So I'm going to use this other way, not use the Photoshop. I just got to move my mouse cursor over here. Where's my mouse cursor? Do you see it?
No.
Yeah, this is kind of tricky. There you go.
Jeez.
All right.
Oh,
I thought this one would be fun to include. Not exactly us like looking at a review, but us looking at a botched job from some guy who thought, I'm not going to call a pro. I'm a tub painter. I painted cars for 30 years in the war.
In the war.
All right. Let's cut to that.
Oh, man.
So, as you can see, I mean, it is textured to all
What is
hell.
this, big tub refinishing propaganda?
I don't. Yeah.
Oh, man. This shit is a prime example of,
Why you should hire a professional?
of don't DIY, motherfuckers.
I mean, DIY if you're handy and
Don't DIY unless you have specific experience doing this.
yeah, but I mean, there's an exception. Like there's EcoPal and stuff like that some people have luck with.
Some people,
Yeah.
even then, it takes a technical hand to kind of get it to where it's supposed to be, to have a perfect job.
Let's break this down. I mean, massive orange peel right here. I mean, clear as day. Dude. You might as well take a bite out of it. It's an orange.
Jesus.
Over here, there's like these like stroke marks or something. He said that he sprayed this on.
That's a longer run than a marathon.
I mean, that's a run?
No, on the sidewall.
Oh, yeah, well, these ones. I mean, these ones are just...
It's like one continuous long fucking drip.
Well, it looks like they're racing.
Then, can we talk about this caulking?
Oh, yeah. This one? The one that he got on the walls?
Oh,
well, and then
it looks like he took a handful of caulking and tried to smack it into the crevice.
So the guy's selling the house. I mean, God bless him, he tried. But, I mean, look at this fucking run right here, man.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
It looks like the tub is sweating.
Shit.
So prime example, like Alex said, this is why you should go with a professional. A professional, not like the guy we were talking about before, but a professional that has good reviews, do your due diligence, all that type of stuff. It should be a smooth and glossy surface.
Yeah, you can.
It's flat as hell too.
You can see that the surface was just not prepped at all. In the corner, you can see like old residual soap scum and shit.
This right here looks like it's peeling.
Yeah, or it's either that or it's just fucking dirt from underneath that he just didn't spray enough on there to actually cover.
It looks like he didn't do the mix properly.
On the inside wall, you can literally see specks all over that.
Yep.
Like there's dirt and dust particles all on top of it, and then he sprayed over it because they're all white.
Yep.
So once that dries, they're embedded into the surface. The only way to get that off is to sand it back down to the porcelain. The thing is, with something like this, you're causing yourself more of an issue and more of a burden on your wallet later, right? Because not only does somebody have to come in here and fix the job you did, like, you know, if there are repairs underneath, they need to address that too. They need to go out of their way to clean up the mess of caulking you made all over the walls. It's like, I personally would probably fucking charge for that, you know? Yeah, definitely. Like, you don't even know if anything he used was like proper. I don't know. This is just terrible.
It's really, really bad. But the reason that I put this out there is just like you were talking about, like, don't DIY. Well, I think that there is a space for that. Right, and there's a space.
Yeah,
there's certain types of people that can do it.
Exactly.
But he said in the little Reddit post too that it almost has like a greenish tint. I guarantee you anything, he did not read the instructions on how to properly mix it either, because it does kind of, like, if you look at it on the screen over here, this one you can't really tell, but it does kind of have like a little greenish hue to it, and it seems to me like he didn't thoroughly mix it either. So, you know, it's just. These are things that are avoided if you choose a professional. Now, if this tub was bare before, which I'm assuming it was, and he tried to refinish it, if he would have just contacted a professional from the beginning, he probably would have saved himself an extra $150, $200. I don't know what the outcome was because he never followed up, but I'm assuming that he probably had a professional come do it.
Definitely. And
he probably paid a pretty penny for it because, I mean, you're talking about taking all that stuff off, taking the caulking off, whatever's underneath that he didn't address.
And that just looks so disgusting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it looks dirty. Even though he just painted, it's supposed to be a fresh paint job. It looks dirty. Like,
yeah.
Like somebody walks into that bathroom and
nasty.
They don't see it as, you know, like added value to the house. They see it as a problem.
Yeah.
You know, so that's something that if I was selling a house, I would have taken care of probably before I sold it. So he more than likely he spent that extra money to get it done by a professional anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I would price something like this at BathTubGuys, $375 for the tub, $125 to strip, and it's gonna need to be completely stripped. And this is one of those projects that, sadly, I'm gonna have to probably have the guy there most of the day, because if you do something this bad, where everything, literally every single inch of that needs to be taken off, it's going to take most of the day. And so, depending on what else, I would try, you know, since he's selling it, I would try to, you know, hey, you want to do some anti-skid or something like that, and, you know, maybe get an extra couple bucks out of it. But I think $500 would be fair for this. I don't know what he paid, but I imagine it's in that ballpark.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, he probably read reviews when he went to go look to see who he was going to call. He probably didn't want a nightmare. So,
for real.
Yeah, so we're going to leave it there. That was pretty much it. I mean, we did an hour and 36 minutes. Pretty good. It's a pretty long show today.
All right.
So, again, guys, we're doing Q&A. I don't know if you're going to be in it, but I'm doing it. We as Bathtub Guys will do it. So,
yeah, send your questions our way.
Yeah, we'll be more than happy to answer them. And if you see bad reviews out there, send me them too. I want to get more stuff to cover too, man.
Send us reviews. It doesn't matter what city you're in.
And even if it's one of yours, tell me, and I will critique it like properly. Or also, if you want to send us pictures of the jobs you do, and you're saying, like, you know, maybe it doesn't look right, or can you give me a tip on how to better this?
Yeah.
Like, we're not dicks. Some of these people deserve it.
Let's do a segment where we roast people's DIY projects.
Oh yeah, we could definitely.
I love that.
Well, the DIY
people start sending in like, oh, look at this tub I painted.
Yeah,
came out pretty good, right?
Yeah.
We're just like, shut the fuck up.
But anyway, for now, I mean, we did, like I said, guys, an hour and 37 minutes, pretty good long show. So hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yep, good old time.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys on the next one, and hopefully on the next one.
Thanks for watching.
On the next one, I wanna maybe put up there on the big screen some of the work we've been doing on the Clawfoot Tub.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Do like a grand reveal type of thing, too.
Oh, yeah. You guys can see the finished product.
All right. Well, with that, we're out.
Peace.
You just listened to the official Bathtub Refinishing Podcast, powered by BathTubGuys Refinishing. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to ask any questions or suggest topics for the next episode by following @BathTubGuys on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. And thanks for listening.